I grew up in the house. With the greatest women's basketball player ever. I'll go to my grave on that. Because y'all don't understand how good and how talented she was and is as a person.
Are you the greatest
No.
women's basketball player of
No,
all time?
Girl, bye.
No.
Respectfully, girl, bye.
No.
It's okay.
No. You know what? To be honest, I'm one of many.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just serious.
That ain't what we believe, though.
Well, it's debatable. Depending on who you ask, it's debatable. But I've been fortunate to play with great coaches, great players, and be in the right spot at the right time. Period.
So I can't believe you just did that to me, though. You didn't just say, yeah, I'm her. Period.
I can't.
There's a moment from the 2024 WNBA All-Star Weekend that shook the whole basketball world, and it still gets people talking today. It shows exactly where women's hoops came from and the wild direction it's heading. Picture this: Cheryl Miller, one of the most respected legends the sport has ever seen, standing on the sideline coaching Caitlin Clark, the college superstar who shattered scoring records like they were nothing. In the viral clip, you can see Clark looking at Miller with straight-up respect, almost like she's staring at someone who helped build the entire game. And Miller, she's looking right back with a mix of pride, understanding, and that "I know what you're carrying" energy that only someone who lived that pressure can give. But here's the real twist. That wasn't the first time they crossed paths. They had met before, and during that earlier moment, Miller dropped advice on Clark that had nothing to do with perfecting a jumper or running a defensive read. She told her something deeper, something only a true pioneer of the sport could say, something that came from someone who once held the entire spotlight on her shoulders during a time when women's basketball barely got attention. So what exactly did the icon who crushed the 1980s tell the new star who brought women's hoops into millions of living rooms in 2024? And why did those words hit Clark so hard that she later said Miller was finally someone who's on my side?
And he goes, no, he's like, Dean, how many points did you have? I said, Because I gotta make it work for the number. And he goes, what? I said, he said, did you say, I said 105.
That connection between them turned into one of the most talked about generational moments in sports. For anyone who doesn't remember the early 80s or wasn't following the game back then, Cheryl Miller wasn't just talented, she was unbelievable. At USC from 1982 to 1986, she changed the entire conversation around women's basketball. She won 2 national championships, grabbed National Player of the Year 3 different times, and wrapped up her college career with 3,018 points and 1,534 rebounds. She could even dunk in real game action, something almost no women's player was doing back then. By 1986, Sports Illustrated flat out named her the best college player in the country, male or female. That's how real her impact was. Then you have Caitlin Clark, who came to Iowa in 2020 and started rewriting history from day one. By the time she wrapped up her college career in April 2024, she became the all-time leading scorer in Division I basketball, men's or women's, with 3,951 points. She finished her final season averaging an unbelievable 31.6 points per game, and she wasn't just putting up numbers, and she was bringing massive audiences and pushing the women's game into a whole new spotlight.
Like I've said, when she gets to the WNBA, she's going to be surrounded by more talent. And I didn't know the quality of talent that she has on that particular roster.
Yeah.
That's all true, and they're healthy. What you're not going to be to throw the house at her. She's going to be to come off of screens and catch and shoot.
Clark didn't just score, she moved the culture. Iowa women's basketball wasn't just growing, it was exploding, and the numbers proved it loud and clear. Their games were pulling in TV ratings that outshined a bunch of NBA broadcasts, and people everywhere were suddenly tuning in like it was a prime-time event. When Caitlin Clark stepped onto the floor for her final championship game against South Carolina, nearly 19 million people locked in, which had networks and fans acting like they were witnessing history unfold live. Clark becoming a national sensation wasn't just about points. It was about energy, momentum, and a wave of attention that women's hoops hadn't seen at that level before. And here's where things get even more powerful. Two stars from two totally different generations were connected through this rise, Cheryl Miller and Caitlin Clark. Even though almost 40 years separated them, both carried the kind of spotlight that can feel like a blessing and a burden at the same time. Their first real meeting didn't happen in a gym filled with basketballs bouncing or coaches screaming plays. It went down in 2023 at the Honda Award ceremony in Los Angeles. Clark had just won the Honda Cup, the top honor given to the best female collegiate athlete across all sports, and she earned every inch of that recognition after a ridiculous junior season. She took Iowa to the national championship game, scored over 1,000 points, and made the country stop scrolling and start watching. Her rise wasn't quiet. It was loud, electric, and impossible to ignore. Cheryl Miller was at the ceremony too, and instead of just clapping from the side like a legend who'd already done it all, she walked right up to Clark and made sure that moment turned into something deeper.
She's not like your 6'6", 6'5", which gives her a height advantage, a length advantage. So it has to be here. It has to be here. Because I've never seen someone offensively rebound.
Months later, on the Breakthrough Chronicles podcast, Miller explained exactly how that conversation went, and the message she delivered wasn't about shooting form or staying aggressive. It was something far more personal. Miller said she told Clark one thing above everything as she stepped into her senior year. Have fun, no matter all the static. Just make sure you find that quiet place. She didn't dress it up, and she didn't make it complicated. It was simple, but it carried weight because of who it came from and what she lived through. This wasn't a classic pep talk. It was a warning wrapped in comfort. Miller explained why she told Clark those words, and she didn't hold back at all. She said the crown Clark was wearing was really heavy, and the wild part was Clark didn't even put it on herself. It's placed on her. That hit hard because Miller knew exactly what it felt like to be pushed into the spotlight, whether you asked for it or not. Miller had lived that pressure back in the 80s, when every move she made was dissected, questioned, or celebrated like it meant something for the entire sport. So when she looked at Clark, she wasn't seeing a kid with talent. She was seeing someone stepping into the same kind of pressure cooker she once faced. She understood that Clark would deal with nonstop expectations, constant debates, and the feeling that every game carried the weight of women's basketball on her shoulders. And that's why Miller's words stuck so deeply. They came from someone who already walked through the fire. Cheryl Miller had lived through that pressure in the 1980s, and she knew exactly how heavy it could get when the spotlight stops feeling like support and starts feeling like a weight on your back. She remembered how it drained the joy out of parts of her own journey, and she didn't want Caitlin Clark walking into the same trap, especially when her career was just getting ready to take off. When Miller gave Clark her advice, it came from real-life battle scars, not just wisdom from the sidelines. Her playing career ended way earlier than it should have, and not because she slowed down. Chronic knee injuries forced her into retirement in the late 80s when she was still dominating and at the top of her game.
That's what I'm talking about, because they know. They know. And we certainly have come a long way. And I'm not about gouging, but it's a long time overdue. And we're going to continue to get better and better. All you have to do is look at, college basketball.
After stepping away from playing, she moved into coaching and broadcasting, watching women's basketball fight to build a professional identity while she stood on the outside looking in. The WNBA wasn't founded until April 1996 and didn't officially tip off until June 1997. That was 11 years after Miller graduated from USC. That timing changed everything for her career in a way she could never control. Miller never got the chance to be the face of a professional league in the US, and that reality hit hard because she absolutely had the talent for it. She never played in front of packed American arenas as a pro, never got the chance to build a long 10 or 15 season career with fans chanting her name, and never saw her jersey hanging in stores the way NBA stars did. That kind of stage simply didn't exist yet, no matter how great she was. She did play overseas and brought home a gold medal with Team USA at the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles, which was a huge moment for her legacy. But even with that accomplishment, the window for playing professional basketball in America never opened for her, and by the time the WNBA came to life, her playing days were already behind her. When the league finally launched, Miller jumped in as the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury in 1997 during the WNBA's first ever season, and she made her mark fast. She even led the team to the finals in 1998, proving she still had that fire and knowledge to push the game forward. But no matter how successful she was on the sideline, coaching wasn't the same as playing, and she knew it deep down. When Cheryl Miller looked at Caitlin Clark, she didn't just see a rising star. She saw a player living a reality she never got the chance to touch, and that hit deep. She saw someone with rare talent finally stepping into a world that was actually ready for her, something Miller's own era never offered. Clark was getting opportunities Miller could only dream about, playing professionally in America, packing arenas with massive crowds, signing endorsement deals worth millions, and showing up on national broadcasts that people were actually tuning in for. It was the kind of spotlight Miller's generation helped create, even though they never got to stand in it. Miller's generation laid the bricks, mixed the cement, and built the entire foundation of the women's game, but they never got to live in the house they constructed. That's exactly why Miller wasn't giving Clark basketball advice. The skill part was light work for someone like Clark, and Miller knew that right away. What she really wanted to protect was Clark's joy, that spark that makes you fall in love with the game in the first place. Miller had watched that same joy get buried under pressure, noise, and expectations during her own rise, and she refused to let Clark lose that something special. So she gave her advice designed to keep her grounded, steady, and protected from all the weight that comes with being the face of a sport. The next time Miller and Clark came face-to-face was July 2024 at the WNBA All-Star Weekend in Phoenix. And the timing couldn't have been more real. Miller had been selected as the coach for Team WNBA in the exhibition game against Team USA before the Olympics, and Clark ended up on her roster, turning the whole moment into something way bigger than basketball. Clark had just finished a rough first month in the WNBA, and she was feeling all of it. The Indiana Fever started the season with 5 straight losses, and Clark was getting hit from every direction, physically on the court and verbally off it. She was taking hard fouls, getting targeted by defenders, and hearing nonstop criticism from commentators, analysts, and people who didn't want to see her shine. Some of the critiques were legit basketball breakdowns, but some came from jealousy, resentment, or people unhappy with how much attention she was pulling in. And then there were comments that got even uglier, coming from places that had nothing to do with hoops at all, creating a storm around her that kept getting louder and louder. So when Clark spotted Miller at All-Star Weekend, she let the relief spill out right away and reportedly told her, "Finally, someone who's on my side." Miller hugged her tight and told her how proud she was, and that moment instantly showed how much they understood each other, in a way most people never could. Both of them knew exactly what it felt like to carry an entire sport on their shoulders before they even got a chance to settle into the spotlight. During the All-Star events, Miller spoke about Clark with real admiration, praising her basketball IQ, her competitiveness, and her ability to lift everyone around her. But she didn't hide from the pressure talk either. She said publicly what she'd been whispering to Clark privately, that the crown was heavy, that Clark didn't choose it, and that it was placed on her by a sport desperate for someone who could break through to the mainstream. The WNBA All-Star Game ended with Team WNBA taking the win, and Clark played solid the whole way through. But the real headline wasn't the scoreboard. It was the sight of Cheryl Miller coaching her, guiding her, steadying her, almost like one legend was passing the torch to the next right there on national TV. Watching Miller talk to Clark on the sideline looked bigger than basketball, like she was teaching her how to survive the spotlight, not just run plays.
One of the best that's ever played the game, so I've known Cheryl for a little while now. I think her energy, that's what I love about her. Like, it's just contagious, and it's fun. Like, I called her coach and she was like, "I don't know about that yet. You'll have to see how I do during the game." So.
But their connection had another key moment earlier in May 2024, one that landed even deeper. At that point, the Indiana Fever had dropped their first 5 games of the season, and the whole situation felt rough. The schedule was stacked against them, the chemistry wasn't clicking yet, and Clark was trying to adjust to the physicality of the pro level, which hit her fast and hit her hard. Then May 24th rolled around and everything shifted when the Fever beat the Los Angeles Sparks 78-73 for Clark's first WNBA win. It wasn't just any win. It was a much-needed breath of fresh air during a stretch that felt heavy. And who happened to be in the building for that moment? Cheryl Miller. Miller hunted Clark down after the game to congratulate her, and later she shared what she told her in that hallway moment. She said she told Clark, "Savor this. Use this as a formula, but keep being you no matter what. Keep being you, keep being you." That phrase kept echoing through every story involving the two of them, like Miller was pushing that message into Clark's soul. Keep being you became the heartbeat of everything Miller tried to give her. She wanted Clark to stay grounded, stay herself, and stay locked in, no matter how loud the world got around her. Miller knew exactly how pressure can twist a player up, how criticism can make someone shrink their own game, and how expectations can drain the love you started with. She wasn't about to watch that happen to Clark. For Miller, that first win meant way more than just snapping a losing streak. It was proof that Clark could handle the jump, that she belonged right where she was, and that the pro game wasn't going to break her spirit. Miller wanted Clark to feel that moment and stash it somewhere safe so she could tap back into it whenever the weight got too heavy again. Their connection kept showing something powerful about women's basketball. A legend helping a rising superstar hold on to the fire that makes greatness shine. This whole thing between Cheryl Miller and Caitlin Clark isn't just a simple story about a legend giving advice to a rising superstar. It's a full-on generational bridge, built on hard lessons, old scars, and wisdom that didn't come easy. It's older players, many of whom never got their flowers, making sure the new wave doesn't waste the blessings they finally get to enjoy. Miller has been extremely generous whenever she talks about Clark, showing nothing but support and admiration. She never turns the spotlight back on herself or talks about what she missed out on, even though she easily could. Instead, she celebrates everything Clark is achieving and tries to guide her through the parts of fame that have nothing to do with pull-up jumpers or court vision. For Clark, that support clearly hits deep. During All-Star Weekend interviews, she talked about how much of an honor it was to be coached by Miller and Ann Myers, two legends who helped build the entire foundation of women's basketball long before cameras cared. She even said they're people she looks up to and straight up idolizes, showing how real the respect is. Their connection also highlights just how much the world of women's basketball has transformed from the 1980s to now. Miller played in an era where women's games barely showed up on TV, where professional opportunities in the United States didn't exist, and where being the best female hooper in the country didn't come with financial security or mainstream recognition. She dominated, but the platform just wasn't there for her. Clark, on the other hand, is living in a completely different landscape. Her college games pulled in millions of viewers. She signed NIL deals worth serious money. She became the #1 pick in the draft. And she instantly turned into one of the main faces of a league that's still growing, but finally has a real stage. The world changed, and she walked right into that change. But here's the twist. Even though the money, attention, and spotlight have evolved, the pressure hasn't changed at all. The expectation that one player should carry the sport still exists. The criticism that comes with being the center of attention still hits hard. Trying to stay grounded when everyone wants a piece of you is still just as tough as it was decades ago. That's the part Miller understands better than almost anyone, and that's exactly why her advice matters so much. She knows that the talent is the easy part. It's the noise, the expectations, the weight, and the non-stop spotlight that can wear a player down, and she doesn't want to see Clark lose herself in all of that. The story of Cheryl Miller and Caitlin Clark goes way beyond two great players meeting. It's about what one generation passes down to the next when they reach back with open hands and open hearts. Miller never got the chance to play in the WNBA, never got the long professional career she deserved in America, and never got to be the face of women's basketball during a time when the sport had real infrastructure behind it. But instead of holding resentment, she turned that experience into guidance, protection, and wisdom for Clark. She wants Clark, the player living the career she never had the chance to experience, to keep her joy, her fire, and her identity intact. Miller built part of the foundation. Clark is building the house. And when they stand together, you can see how much respect flows both ways, showing that both roles matter just as much as the other. What do you think the next generation of women's basketball players will learn from Caitlin Clark? The way Clark has learned from Cheryl Miller. When you look at the bond between Cheryl Miller and Caitlin Clark, you're not just seeing two hoop stars from different eras. You're watching a whole legacy being carried from one set of hands to the next, with all the weight, wisdom, and fire that comes with it. Their story shows how the game keeps growing, but the pressure doesn't ever really shrink. Miller walked through an era where she had to fight for every inch of recognition, and she still turned around decades later to make sure Clark didn't face that fight alone. And Clark, even with all the lights on her, all the attention, all the noise, listened to her with real respect, because she knew Miller wasn't talking from theory. She was talking from experience. That's what makes this connection so powerful, because it shows something bigger than stats, records, or trophies. It shows how the game survives when one generation refuses to let the next one fall under the weight they carried themselves. It shows how greatness isn't just built on the court, it's passed down, protected, and taught by the people who lived through the storm. And now, with Clark stepping deeper into the spotlight and the next wave of young hoopers watching everything she does, you can already feel the impact spreading. You can feel the next chapter forming. Because if Clark learned anything from Miller, it's to stay real, stay grounded, and stay herself, no matter how loud the world gets. And if you want to stay ahead of every twist in stories like this, every rivalry, every behind-the-scenes moment, every truth the cameras don't always show, make sure you tap into Courtside Leaks, where the real stories of the basketball world never stay hidden for long. Who knows? The next big moment in women's basketball might already be unfolding right now, and you don't want to miss it. We've got every angle covered, every leak, every backstage twist, every moment they won't show you. Hit like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video. Stay locked in with Courtside Leaks, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.